This is TJ Wilson with FBN Finance. So I'm the head of sales for FBN Finance. Our division really focuses on lending solutions for farmers to be able to help provide capital for operation. I have with me today Peppo from our team. I'm going to allow Peppo to introduce himself, and then we're going to dive right in.
Hey, thanks, DJ. I'm Peppo Peixeira. I am Managing Director of Equity Investments within FBN, focusing mostly on Farmland Capital, our co-investment program with farmers.
Thanks, Peppo. Today our topic is going to be beginning farmers. So we want to really focus on some ways that some of the challenges that beginning farmers face and some possible solutions for those challenges. So kicking it right off, Peppo, what are some of the challenges you see that beginning farmers face in the farming economy today?
So there are a few items that a farmer needs to start farming, and land is one of the most important ones, but equipment is also another very relevant factor, a necessary factor for farmers. Equipment and labor. What other challenges do you see, TJ, on your end?
Yeah, obviously, the ones you mentioned are very, very important to any farming operation. So, a couple of other things that we talk about and we see day to day here, just access to capital. You talk about equipment, you talk about land and different resources that they need. They got to be able to access capital to be able to get those things. And the other challenge that beginning farmers really face is a history. Obviously they have not been doing this a long time, so they do not have a broad history, management experience built up, which makes it pretty tough when they're going out and trying to work with landlords or work with lenders to try to grow their operation. So, one thing kind of stuck out to me is the land component. So obviously land is one of the most critical assets when it comes to a farming operation. You got to have that land to be able to farm. So, let's talk about renting versus buying. What are some of your thoughts on the difference between those two options for farmers today?
Yes, typically renting is the most accessible way to secure land. It requires less capital, less of a commitment. But there are some challenges with renting. When you're renting land, you never know if that rent is going to go up from year to year and take a hit on the cash flows, or if that rent is going to go away. If the owner of the land has to sell it, there's a farmer that offers more for that land. So it looks like it's hard to build an operation just based on rented land, because there are a lot of commitments, investments that require a longer term, like equipment, for instance. So making an investment on equipment, not knowing if that land is going to be available the following year, it's hard. So typically the preferred way is owning that land, but the challenge with owning land is that it requires a large investment. Banks can typically finance up to 60%, so farmers have to come up with 40%, which is a very large down payment. So yeah, but there have been some products in the market that help to bridge that gap and allow beginning farmers access that land. The government has working on a few of those. What are those, DJ? The FSA, USDA programs?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously trying to buy ground is the key component for farmers. So they want to try to, use what resources are available to them to be able to purchase ground. The biggest component of that, as you mentioned, the leasing versus buying, is control of that ground. So the best way to ensure control is by owning it. So some of the good programs available for beginning farmers, obviously the FSA programs. So the Farm Service Agency has some wonderful programs for beginning farmers. Typically that constitutes farmers with 3 years of experience up to 10 years of experience. So there's some programs out there that typically are going to be the cheapest money that you can find and the least down payment. The challenges with that program though is there are some caps. There's some maximums that you can borrow through those programs, which does limit you a little bit on how much land you can potentially buy. But all farmers, if they have the ability to, should definitely try to max out those programs. Start with your FSA office or, reach out to a lender. And I'll have our phone number here at the end if you want to reach out to one of the members of our team to talk about this. But the FSA programs are definitely the best way to go for beginning farmers to try to, access as much capital as they possibly can at the lowest cost. The other option, when it comes to lending is going to be traditional bank financing. So as Peppo mentioned, most traditional banks require a fairly hefty down payment. So that is going to be the downside of those. So you're going to have a high down payment. Typically, you're not going to be able to always get a fixed rate. A lot of commercial lenders are going to have a little bit shorter fixed rate periods. There are some options available with traditional lenders to fix those rates a little bit longer, but it's not as common. So you're going to face some challenges like that and have some uncertainty when it comes to those types of programs that are available. But there are going to be some other options available, maybe some more flexibility on that. There's always pros and cons with each one of those two programs. A couple of the other resources that you find out there, one of them is seller financing. So, Peppo, talk to us a little bit about what you see with the seller financing options out there.
Yeah, with seller financing, there's typically a lot more flexibility. This basically consists on the seller of the land providing the financing to the buyer. In most of the situations, there is a pre-existing relationship between both. And that leads to very different type of agreements. But a lot of times the down payment is lower. The farmer can buy that land, financing that over time, but without putting much money down. Some of the disadvantage of that is that the term is typically shorter. With a loan, you can go 30 years. With a seller financing, sellers typically want a shorter payment schedule there, typically 10 years or sometimes shorter than that. But yes, when available, this can be a great way for beginning farmers to secure some land in a more flexible way without a lot of down payment. Another product that we at FBN we have been working on and we recently launched that helps bridge that gap is Farmland Capital. It's really complementary to a traditional loan. With a traditional loan, like farmers can get up to 65% of the farm value, but they have to come up with the other 35, 40%, sometimes more than that. So what FBN can do with this product is invest up to 49% of that down payment. So let's say the farmer has to put 40% down, FBN can invest up to 49% of that. And it does in such a way that it doesn't increase like the annual expenses to the farmer. When FBN designed this product, made sure that there were no annual payments to give the farmer that flexibility on an annual basis. And so in some way, like a way to think about this is similar to when a farmer gets some support from a relative. Let's say a relative helps the farmer come up with that money for the down payment, the farmer and the relative 50%. So in this, they often become 50-50 owners of this farm. And they both share on the income, sharing the changing value. In this situation, FBN is not sharing the changing in the income, but is sharing in the changing value. This product is typically at 10 years, but the farmer can buy it out and terminate it earlier anytime. The farmer is the only owner of the farm, controls all the decisions on the farms. There are no strings attached. The farmer can buy inputs, whatever, from whoever he wants, and even finance the property with whoever he wants. And the idea is like over time, the farmer builds equity on this land through his participation via the income that he's getting on the farm and the debt payments he's making. And after a few years, he can buy this co-investment out. So yeah, those are some of the main situations. TJ, which of these ones can FBN help a farmer with? Like, what are these products that FBN has available, or like can have ways to help farmers with?
Yeah, so obviously our lending team is very experienced and has access to a lot of different programs that are available out there and has experience in dealing with those programs. So very well versed in the Farmland Capital product, obviously. So we are able to talk through that product and talk about different situations. That's not going to be a product for everybody, but it's definitely a resource and another tool in the tool belt for beginning farmers and all farmers. So one way is just to reach out to us. Reach out to one of our loan advisors. You can reach us at 866-619-3080. Or just go to fbn.com/financing, connect with one of our loan advisors through there, and we'll be able to talk through the different strategies and the different options that are available that we can kind of go down a different path and maybe find the right solution for you.